Hi, I'm astrologer and life coach Penny Dix. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and if you're new here, then a special welcome to you, and I hope you will very much like what you see and hear, and I'd love it if you could subscribe to my channel. So today, when I'm recording this, it's February the 20th, 2022. Why is this significant? And why have I decided to do this video today? Well, today in the United States is what's known as its Pluto return. Now, every country has its own birth chart based on a significant historical event. And because of events that are happening on the world stage at the moment, I felt it would be important to look at how this Pluto return for the United States kind of links in with that, and how we can use these energies in a constructive and positive way. So the significant event to set the scene for the American natal chart was, of course, American Independence Day, and that's July the 4th, 1776 at 4:50 p.m. in Philadelphia. Pluto, although it was undiscovered at this point, was still nevertheless very present, very much like its energy, which can be quite hidden and unseen. And it was in Capricorn at 27 degrees and 33 minutes. Whilst we're looking at the US natal chart, the ascendant for the US was in Sagittarius. Now, interestingly, the current president of the United States, Joe Biden, also has a Sagittarius ascendant. So he's certainly on the same page as his country folk. The sun for the United States was in Cancer, and the moon was in Aquarius. So what does this tell us about what energies were kind of set in place for America? Well, the sun in Cancer tells us they wanted to build a homeland based on security for all, which of course is probably very much what we've seen. The ascendant in Sagittarius tells us they were visionaries, and that education, knowledge and truth were fundamental to their progress. The Aquarius moon tells us they wished to care for the people and encourage individualism. These were the ideals. And this chart has a balance of cardinal, mutable and fixed energies. They certainly seem to be heading in the right direction for a fairer society. But the element of earth was missing. They have a fiery ascendant, a watery sun sign, and their moon sign is an air sign, encouraging free thinking. But with the earth missing, one wonders what was there, or what is there, to ground them in their flights of fancy. So, as I said, Pluto lay undiscovered at this time, and yet from its hidden perspective brought in the hidden depths of its Capricorn cardinal energy. Now, cardinal means it takes action, it initiates. Mutable means one's more flexible, one goes in this direction or that direction, whereas fixed is very fixed, as the word describes. It says, no, I'm doing it this way. I'm not budging. So the grounding element of earth was present in the sign of Capricorn, where Pluto was residing. Now, the planet Pluto is essentially about transformation, but it can also represent secrecy, danger, and the shady underworld that can exist in any society. It is death and rebirth. So today we have the first of Pluto's exact conjunctions to where it was on the 4th of July, 1776. And I'm going to tell you how I think this might play out in a minute, because we have 3 exact hits at this degree that last throughout the year. In fact, the energy of this event will actually have been building up for several years. And I think we can see that with the change that a lot of countries and a lot of the United States have been wrestling with. And the energy of this Pluto return will last well into next year and beyond. So the second exact hit is on the 11th of July this year. And the final hit is on December 28th this year. So all this year, we are going to collectively be under the energy of this American Pluto return. Now, it doesn't matter if you don't live in America or if you're not American, because what happens in America affects the rest of the world. I think we can kind of all agree on that, because it affects our economy. It affects our livelihoods. It affects our health. It affects our ideals. But how will this energy affect the planet? So to understand the significance of this event, the effects of which have been building, as I said, for several years, we need to look at firstly what was happening in America in 1776. Then we can look at current world events. So Independence Day was the culmination of a desperate civil war, and it brought the war to a close. And the signing of this declaration brought a break from Great Britain and the monarchy and Europe in general. So Pluto at this birth time for the United States brought massive transformation for the American people, because they became the American people. And that showed in the way they created a government system that suited the time. The old order, the imperial order, if you like, the royal order crumbled, and a new society had to be built on the ruins of the old. Pluto in Capricorn will always bring change and reform to the governance of countries. Capricorn is about structure. It's about tradition. It's about the old ways. It's about rules. And it's interesting that the last few years have seen the current ways of governing in the United States, especially, challenged, and maybe in need of a change, and maybe some fresh young blood to shake up the system. And that's happening in other parts of the world, where people are really looking at what democracy actually represents and the current way that we run countries, and can we actually make that better? Can we improve it? So the world always watches the United States closely for which way it chooses to turn. Because, as I said earlier, dramatic change in the United States affects the rest of the world significantly. So the potential for significant world changes, including the fall of governments, street fighting, as people will rise up against the authoritarianism of some governments, could be something that is experienced at this time. We may see this in the United States. We've seen it over the last couple of years with the changes and the rebellious kind of nature of the American people about the way things are run. And I think that will continue to be on their agenda and will continue to be a subject to change. Pluto, amongst everything, is determined to transform society and governments, even if it takes several years. So how might this play out at the moment? We can observe quite literally by looking at current events. And the eyes of the world, of course, are watching what unfolds in Eastern Europe. And I think the important thing is that we have to trust that whatever is stripped away will ultimately be for the common good. So with regard to the planet and the world in general, if you pay attention to the energies, to what's happening in the news around this last week leading up to the 20th of February, and what's happening over the next 2 or 3 weeks, then we can get a sense of what this Pluto return is actually going to mean for America and how that's going to affect the rest of the world. Now, when Pluto makes its second exact hit to its original birthplace location, that will be July the 11th. Now, it will have been retrograde. So what happens then is that we will actually experience like a dilution of the energies that are around now, as the main danger will seem to have been averted. Then, by December the 28th, we might see events hotting up again when Pluto makes its final exact meeting with this particular degree. But that will just be the beginning of a long-term transformation and resolution. How's it going to affect us personally? Well, on a personal level, I think you need to be aware of where in your personal life your energies are drawn to around this time. What are you kind of thinking about? What's going on for you? Your fears or weaknesses and your strengths, look at those. Look at how you can address your current issues through this year with this kind of energy of enormous change that the planet is facing. We have to adapt, because if there's one thing we learned through the pandemic, those that adapted and went with the flow found it a much easier journey than those that were fixed against it and fought against the restrictions. So that with whatever unfolds with regard to the events that are happening in Europe at the moment, it's how we adapt to them, how we tailor our own personal lives to accommodate the changes that could be brought in. Because, so if you can address your own current issues with this kind of way of looking at it, and then it can be transformative for you, so that by the end of the year, you actually will look back and think, wow, look how I've grown. Look how I've changed. Look at what I now know about me that I didn't really understand before. But I don't think I could finish this broadcast without looking at the two world players, President Biden and President Putin. I think we have to look at their charts to just get a sense of what this Pluto return energy can be about for Biden, because it's clear that what's happening in Eastern Europe is going to be affecting both these leaders. So let's just look. So what I did is I got the birth charts for both Vladimir Putin and for Joe Biden. And I'm just looking at the energies in their chart and how they would deal with difficult situations rather than anything particularly dramatic or predictive. Vladimir Putin, we'll start with him. He has his sun in Libra. His moon is in Gemini and his ascendant is Scorpio. So let's have a look at Putin first, because as a Libran, ultimately, he's about fair play. And because his moon is in Gemini, it suggests he really does give deep thought before making decisions and will check things out with his closest advisors. However, he's got a Scorpio ascendant. Pluto, which is what this whole video is about, rules Scorpio. So Pluto is like his ruling planet. And he has the capacity to play the rulers or the ruler of Hades. And he will always want to have the last word, even if it brings him down. Now, if we compare his energies with Joe Biden's chart, his sun is in Scorpio. So he is also Pluto dominated. I never thought of Joe Biden as a Scorpio, but he is. And he's actually got a lot of planets in Scorpio. His moon is in Taurus, so this gives him some earth and some quite good grounding in connection with how he deals with the people. And his ascendant is Sagittarius, which is, as I say, complements the ascendant of the United States. So he has got the Sun in Scorpio and Mars, Mercury and Venus. This is quite an important stellium for him. He has the balance of the masculine and feminine, and he has this ability to talk and communicate. And I don't think any of us have really seen that side. Because of this Scorpio energy, he has hidden depths we have yet to see. And as a Sagittarian ascendant, he's not afraid to take risks. So I think we can perhaps see that he didn't become president for no reason. He has an inner fire and resolve. And I don't think any of us have been aware of that yet. And I would actually say, don't underestimate Joe Biden. He's got these hidden depths and an ability to play just as dirty as his potential adversary, Putin. And as I said, Biden's Taurus moon means he's logical and loyal, and especially loyal to the will of the people. So Pluto is a significant planet for both leaders, as it is their ruling planet. We know that the way out of these situations is through diplomacy and transparent communication. But with Scorpio and Pluto featuring so strongly in both their charts, for sure there's the potential for underhand and top secret dealings. The other thing that's very interesting about Vladimir Putin's chart is there's a part of the chart called the MC, which is right at the top of the chart. And the MC is our life goal and direction. Now for Putin, it's Leo. Leo, of course, is the sign of kings, rulers, leaders. Guess what planet he has on his MC? Yes, Pluto. Pluto in Leo, right at the top of his chart. This is extremely powerful. This means this man has really fought hard to be where he is, and is not going to let that go anytime soon if he can help it. Now, currently, Pluto at the top of his chart is in opposition to transiting Saturn in Aquarius. Now, Saturn is our planet of rules and law and restriction. And Aquarius is about matters at a distance and the community at large. This tells me there is a need for him to take matters slowly, to bide his time, and abide by the rules, or he will face the consequences. And the last thing I want to say about these two leaders is Biden has his natal Mars. Mars is the god of war. Mars is the god of action and energy. And his natal Mars is currently opposite transiting Uranus. Oh gosh, well, Uranus, of course, in Taurus is all about disruption, shocks, the unexpected. It can also be to do with the economy. And this placement tells me Biden could shock us all. So my final thoughts on this interesting Pluto transit for the United States for this year is that the one thing that we have to do, it's important to stay grounded with these energies, to find the earth that is lacking a bit, to have faith in truth and justice prevailing. But I do think that by 2024, when Pluto moves into Aquarius, that's going to be super interesting. I think the world will have changed dramatically. And America, as we know it, could be in a very different place due to their Pluto return. Thank you so much for coming to watch this short video. And I hope you found it interesting and informative and thought-provoking. As I said, I would love if you could like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also if you would like to have a one-to-one with me for your astrological birth chart, for me to have a look at that and the transits coming up over the coming year, or life coaching, or a mix of both, then I'd be only too happy to see you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.